Welcome back to the channel. Thought I'd do a quick video for new TR6 owners to understand the dashboard layout. Not necessarily obvious or easy, some of the controls, so here goes. This is what you've got. So let's start with the dials. First up then, on the right you've got the speedometer, you've got the mileage or the kilometres at the bottom, and you've got the trip computer at the top. If you want to reset your trip computer, you need to turn this little black plastic piece underneath the dashboard next to the ignition. When you turn that, what it will do is ratchet through the numbers, starting on the left, moving to the right until they all move together, and you can zero your trip. At the bottom of your speedo gauge you've got two lights. You've got high beam on the left and you've got your indicators on the right. To the left of that you've got your Rev Counter. The Rev Counter is attached to the distributor by a cable, so if you've got any issues there, it's cable driven. This should display the revs of the engine. On the left you've got the oil light, very important light, so if you haven't got enough oil pressure, this light will come on. And here's your ignition to show that your alternator is working correctly. Moving across, you've got the temperature gauge, and ideally you want that to be sitting somewhere in the middle at normal operating temperature. There are three different thermostats available, so it might be slightly lower, in the middle, or it might be slightly higher, depending on if you've got a cold or a hot climate thermostat fitted. Your fuel gauge should work correctly, showing 0 when empty, and be over on full with a full tank. Arguably the most important dial of them all is this one. This is your oil pressure. So on startup you'd expect to see that above 50, and as the oil gets up to temperature it might well drop down. As a rule of thumb, you're looking for around 10 psi for every 1,000 revs that you have of the engine. The final gauge then is your volts. So this tells you if your alternator is working correctly and receiving charge to the battery. Ideally you want this to be sitting somewhere between 12 and 13. This dial in the middle, this is the rheostat that adjusts your lights for all of your dials. So at night you can turn all the lights to all your dials off, or you can adjust the brightness using this. Two switches then over to the right of the dials. First of all you've got the lights, so side lights in first position and full lights in second position. Off is at the top. And this switch here controls your wipers. This varies from UK to US models, but on the UK one, what you do is you push to operate this water squirter, turn right one step for first speed, and turn right again for faster wiper operation. On the steering column, you've got 3 stalks fitted, or 2 depending on whether or not you've got overdrive fitted. The one on the left is your lights and your main beam. So main beam on, main beam off, flash when you pull it towards you. On the left, you've got your indicators, left and right, and the longer stick is your overdrive if fitted. Down to activate, up for off. The last part of the dashboard then is these fresh air vents. So contrary to what you might think, you don't get hot air through these. This was the way it was designed. When you turn the fan on, air will blow through here, but it will be cooler air. So you can choose whether you have cold fresh air coming through by opening or closing these vents. So that gets us nicely to the heater controls. You've got 3 here that control the heating. The first is the tap that turns the hot water to go through the heater system and the matrix. When this button is pushed in, there is no hot water coming through, your heating is off. Pull this knob, and what you do is you open the tap on the engine. Hot water will now flow through the heater matrix, so you can use it in the cabin. The next switch along is the heater fan. So 2 position, 1, 2, depending on the speed you choose. So that's now blowing the air into the cabin or onto the windscreen, depending on the position of this knob here. In standard closed position, this is pushing the hot air up to the windscreen as a demister. If you pull this knob, you open a flap underneath the dashboard to allow hot air to come into the footwells. The final one we've missed, of course, is the choke. So this is what you'll use on startup to allow a little bit of extra fuel to come through to the engine until it gets warm. So many TR6s have additional switches put into place that the user has fitted over the years. The only standard switch is in fact this one, which is an interior light switch, and that operates a light up here underneath the driver's steering wheel. In is off, on is forward. This particular car, we've got a 12-volt socket fitted, quite convenient for USB connections, and as this car didn't come with hazards as standard, these have been fitted here. Only one thing left then, and that is of course the horn. I hope you found that run through useful. Only thing left now to do with your new purchase is hit the road. See you on the next video.